Hello everybody and welcome! We are, today, doing something very fun. We are looking back and seeing how our opinions on the investigators may or may not have changed over the last 3 years of our, basically keeping track of our power rankings on the channel. Every year at Christmas, Travis, Bryn, and I, we do a tier list where we, and when I say every year at Christmas, I think we've done it twice individually and once as a group since 2022. We make a tier list where we rank our own personal power rankings. Now, these aren't kind of comparison. Like an S for me might be different for an S for Bryn, might be different for an S for Travis. Same for an A+, A, B, C, and D, all the way down to the lowest tier. So rather, we're kind of be looking at, like, in comparison to how, what I like to do is I like to look out, in comparison how Travis, Bryn, and I compare to each other when we look at these investigators, as well as also how we might have had our thoughts changed individually throughout the last 3 years of ranking it. The 2020 ratings are a little bit strange because we were a group rating, so like someone was like, it's maybe an S, someone's like, it's a B, so we usually settle on like an A for A+ for that one. So the group rankings are kind of soon going to be, hopefully next year, if we do this again next year, you know, God willing, I'm still alive and doing this. We're going to look at the last 3 years for that, and we're going to get some real kind of information going. So, why don't we dive in, buckle up. This is going to be a long discussion form video today, and it should be really fun. We're going to start with Agnes Baker. This one is pretty boring to start with. This one is actually like pretty straightforward. Nothing has really changed. Travis consistently has given Agnes Baker an A+. Bryn and I have consistently given Agnes an A. And our group rating even was an A. So, like, really, Agnes Baker, our thoughts on her, have not changed. Yeah. And I think that this is kind of just, it kind of makes sense because really, Agnes hasn't gotten any additional pieces that she's gotten, right? Like, she gets the mystic spells, but, like, all the mystics get the spells. She gets, like, all the stuff that other mystics already get. So it's kind of like, I guess I should have that on. It's kind of like she hasn't really seen anything that's allowed her to either improve. However, she still has 5 brain, so it's not like she can fall behind, right? Like, she still is a very good mystic with a very good ability and a very good card pool, but, like, she hasn't got enough for, like, Bryn and I to notably want to bump her up a little bit. Arkham Librarian, 15 months at the Golden Table. Thank you for the support. Much appreciated, and I hope you're having a great Friday. But yeah, it's kind of just like Agnes has always kind of just been good, and I think that proves true. Proves to be true today. Yeah. All right, we go to Akachi Onyele. So this one also actually stays, for the most part, pretty consistent. Travis gives her Bs in 2022 and 2021. That fits as well with the group rating of B in 2022. As you can kind of see at these group ratings, I'm a lot more passive. I'm a lot more passive compared to Travis and Bryn when it comes to the voicing the opinion here. I mean, well, actually, like, we'll be real. Travis is the most assertive when it comes to getting the rankings where they are. But Bryn has actually improved on Akachi. In 2021, gave Akachi a B. This year, gave Akachi an A, which is kind of cool. And I have lived with A's for her. I view, even though I can definitely respect that Agnes has a better card pool and a better ability, they're both in the same tier for me as A. I think that, like, they're both good mystics. They're both good mystics, right? And, well, Akachi, like, I think Travis also gives her a B because in Travis's ratings, like, there's not much of a reason to play Akachi that he finds, which I think is fair, because Akachi is kind of just dull, right? Like, she's kind of not that exciting to... she's just basically more efficiency, and efficiency is good, but it's not exactly, like, powerful for what Travis looks at for Travis's ratings, which I think is totally fair. Yeah, I like the bump up to A for Bryn, because I think that Akachi is an A. Once again, A for Agnes, A for Akachi, as chat was saying. We can keep that going over here today. Close the Circle. Yeah, I could see Close the Circle working fine in Akachi. I could definitely see that, because she also has all of the all the ability to splash into other colors because of her deck building, which is really cool. I think a Close the Circle Akachi deck could be pretty sweet, and I'm pretty sure Close the Circle would work about as well as I think it would there, which is fine. Yes. All right. Let's keep it going. We got Amanda Sharp. This one's wild. This one is absolutely wild, isn't it? Isn't this a strange looking slide here? So, group rating was a B in 2022, which I'll talk about that for a second, because that one was kind of just a preliminary ranking from Travis, because Travis only kind of saw her in action once. So, like, our group rating for the Innsmouth Investigators was based on very little. It still is locked in the history books as a B rating for Amanda, but I think that actually is kind of very fitting for Amanda, because Amanda is very weak if you don't play her well, right? Like, if you don't play Amanda, like, in a way that you're able to understand and make Amanda work, she is weaker, right? However, you can actually also kind of see the progression, because my first time with Amanda at this A+ rating, she was good, but I actually didn't even bust her open yet. Like, I was like, Amanda's good. She can draw cards, she can do things, but I didn't even play my busted Amanda deck that when I was like, I'm drawing my whole deck in a turn. So that's why now at this point, with a lot more Amanda experience, I sit her as an S, and so does Travis. I think Travis follows a very similar kind of growth pattern for how we looked at Amanda Sharp. And I agree with Lord Blink in chat. The community sentiment followed this trend too. I agree with that as well. Like, Amanda is just, like, creeping up, you know? That it's like, soon Amanda might even be able to live in, like, an S+ tier. If we ever get to that point where we need to differentiate between S and S+, I do think Amanda is probably likely the one who can break that barrier first. I'm gonna wager. Now, Bryn didn't rate Amanda in 2021. He's just like, don't know enough about her. In 2022, Bryn gave her a C because she has 2s in all of her stats. I think also this is, like, just classic Bryn. I think Bryn just finds Amanda to be kind of boring and doesn't really, like, doesn't interest him. So he just kind of, like, likes to, you know, get a rise out of people. Yeah. So, yeah. I think Amanda's obviously very good, and I like this growth that we're seeing. I think it kind of makes sense with also the discovery of the power levels that Amanda can bring. Something against her, though, there's only one way to make her good, and that way is broken. I can agree with that as well. I can agree with that. This slide's kind of boring. So Bryn and I have not played Amina by the time we did this rating. Travis has played her. Travis gave her a B. And I think at this point now, seeing Amina in action, she lives in, like, a B-C tier, right? I think, like, I need to see her, like, she has 3s for all of her stats, right? Let's be real. Like, if I had to give her a rating, seeing Travis play or seeing her played from the Patreon game days, I haven't played her myself. I think, like, a B-C is where I'm, like, leaning right now. But her ability is very good. And Amina with Sin Eater and without Sin Eater is a very big difference. I don't have much to say about Amina. There's not much of a trend here, but I am logging it here for easy reference comparing each of us. But unfortunately here, there's not much to compare. All right, we're on to Ashcan Pete, which is also a little bit fun to see kind of what's happened here. Now, of the three of us, I'll say right now, Bryn takes the tier list the least seriously. Like, Bryn is like, he's like an emotion, like, I want to say like emotion and like just like a Bryn tier list. It's like how Bryn looks at them in the moment, right? So this one was kind of funny to see. So Travis and I, boring. A's all the way, right? Bryn, however, went from an S tier to a B tier, you know? Which I'm curious to know why, but if I remember, I think it was just like, once again, I think it's just like how Bryn feels when, because he also hasn't, Bryn probably plays the least Arkham of the three of us, so like he's kind of just going with memory and feeling for all of it, if I had to wager. And also, like, once again, like once we get to, I believe Daisy Walker is also really low in comparison, and I think just sometimes he just kind of like feels it, that's just what he feels in the moment, and I think that's totally fair, because once again, a tier list is entirely up to the person making it, right? Like how they view power is different than other people, and that's something that we try to say in our tier list, because I know some people in the community don't like the idea of power ranking the investigators, but realistically everyone already does this in their own head. They just might have a different tier list than anyone else. Yeah. Bob Jenkins, baby. Travis is just most improved. Bob Jenkins went from a B for Bob to an A for Aob. A+ from Travis. And I think this was because Travis saw Bob in action. Like, Travis played Bob after this B rating. And Bryn stayed the same and I stayed the same. I don't think there's too much to say about Bob. I thought Bob was Christmas tier. Bob was Christmas tier, but every time Bryn did Christmas, we got him to give us an actual rating for it as well. Just so I can include it in my in the thing. What's the Bob's deck? Just Scavenging and Joey. No, Travis played a Scavenging deck without Joey the Rat, and that's the one that Bob played. I played an A Bob with the Joey the Rat and Scavenging, and that would be an A+, but you can't really do that as well anymore. So I think Bob still settles on an A, because like while that's a cool gameplay loop, it requires a lot of pieces to get going. So I'm still comfortable that Bob's an A tier investigator in my personal power rankings. But I do like the A+ and from Bryn and Travis. Kelvin Wright. This one's cool. This one's neat, huh? This one, he really fell from grace from A+ in 2020 to C's across the board in 2021. Isn't that kind of wild? That's a big fall from 2020 to 2021. However, in 2022... he bumped up to B for me. Well, he stayed C tiers for Bryn and Travis. And this is actually a trend that I've noticed across all of our ratings. And I think it's a big reason for that is because I kind of view the power level of the Test by Zero survivor to be very good. And I think Kelvin Wright is a particularly good player in the Test by Zero archetype. The Test by Zero archetype is very strong. There's some spoilers for an upcoming video. But I got 5 clues in a testless action. Which is insane. Like, it did require only 3 experience. Which is not a big amount of experience. But the testless, the zero test at 0, is a very, very scary archetype, I think. So this is actually a trend that we're going to notice in this kind of thing, that I'm going to view the investigators that can really take advantage of this as still very powerful or more powerful. And I think Kelvin is particularly good at this, because what it allows Kelvin to do, allows Kelvin to take advantage of things that he doesn't need to, like, he can start investigating without waiting for his stats to match what they need to be. I still don't think Kelvin's incredible. Like, I still give him a B tier, but that is why I have him higher than the C's. Because otherwise, I mean, yeah, I think Kelvin's still just kind of zero, kind of just fine, you know? All right. Carolyn Fern. A's. I just love the Travis and I just and then Bryn went from a B in 2021 to an A+ in 2020, which I think is fair, because I do think Carolyn is very strong. I've never been unimpressed by a Carolyn deck, right? Like, every time I've seen a Carolyn play, I'm so into it. I'm like, yeah. It's kind of like, kind of just great. Like, it kind of just gets the job done, and it actually also doesn't even really struggle to get the job done, which is kind of how I view my tier list. Like, with the exact same decks, how much would that investigator struggle compared to, you know, the investigators in their class that can do the same sort of thing. But as Tyler says in chat, Carolyn used hypnotic therapy on Bryn between 21 and 2022, and I agree with what D. Scarpack says, where Carolyn's deck building, like Vincent's, is just going to get better every year. And she got Field Agent. Yeah, this was like before we actually even played with Field Agent, so I could see, especially coming into 2023, Travis's thoughts on Carolyn Fern can go up. I could definitely see that being a thing. Maybe even for me too. And Bryn, who knows? Maybe she'll be back to a B again in 2023. Carson Sinclair. I just wish Bryn gave him an A and Travis gave him a D, so it would spell out bad. That's kind of like what I was hoping would happen when I saw that it spelled out BDA, because that'd be really funny if we just went to Carson and it just spelled bad. Yeah. Carson was a very contentious kind of investigator. There was a lot of drama on the internet. There was a lot, especially like in, I know in our own Discord channel, there were some people, I'm not going to name names, but they know who they are, that were very much against Carson. And I was pretty confident, and that was very much doomsaying, because I think Carson is, you know, he's good. He's a good investigator, right? Like, I think that the guy is very functional. I do think that his gameplay loop is quite unappealing to me personally, but maybe other people will find Carson to be enjoyable, right? And I honestly can totally respect the B. I can respect the A. Bryn even told me that he, after playing Carson isn't bad, but he's not fun, which I think is like, I think very accurate, right? And I think that I'm going to even say that, like, the people who are like, Carson can kill like, Carson can be a good solo fighter with the runic axe, are huffing some major copium. Not that they're wrong, because anyone can do anything in this game if they really try to, right? That's just the reality of the card pool in Arkham in 2023. But I still think that that's kind of just like, you know, you're making it, you're kind of just like, you know, trying to prove a point is basically what that feels like to me. Like, yes, Carson can fight with a runic axe and can kill things, but you know who can also do that and probably just do it better? Like, pretty much any other Guardian. Except for maybe Carolyn Fern. So I think that Carson is very dependent on the players, because I think that Carson he's a support investigator, right? That's just the reality of Carson Sinclair. And I think Carson is very good at doing that. I personally don't like the gameplay loop, but I also haven't played Carson Sinclair, so maybe it'll awaken something in me and I'll be like, this is really fun. Ultimately, I do think the design of Carson was a success, and I think he's a cool investigator, and I'm excited to see how how more discoveries are made with his investigator. And I could see him living in, for me personally, the B or A tier as things go. So we're going to kind of see how it evolves. And that's Carson. I'm very interested to see how his rating changes when we look at this again next year. Charlie Kane. So this one's pretty simple. I would also give Charlie Kane an A+. Maybe an A, but Charlie Kane is very strong. At this point, when we did the tier list, I had not seen a Charlie Kane in action. I've only heard rumors and stories about how good Charlie Kane was. And then I saw Charlie in the episode that went live today if you're watching on Twitch, but a few days ago if you're watching on YouTube, where we started our Scarlet Dreamers run, and I was kind of floored how high Charlie Kane's stats can get to. However, after seeing Charlie Kane again, it is notable how it feels when you get the good draw and like get Bonnie and some allies versus when you don't. I think it is a noticeable thing. However, I do think that he is a good investigator, and I dare even say he might be too good. He might be like the opposite Lola, right? Where Lola was a neutral who was tuned too much, and Charlie might be a neutral who was tuned too little. I'm not saying this is actually what I believe, but it's just a hunch I have. It's a hunch that I have that we might see. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong, because his card pool is limited in his two colors, apart from the allies. But I'm curious to see how Charlie grows and changes as we play through 2023. Notably, though, I think I'm going to be a very bad Charlie Kane player. That's kind of like what my gut says as well. I think that my Charlie Kanes are going to be a lot less good than other people's Charlie Kanes. It's just something I feel, because his playstyle is not me, right? Like, it's just not like what I do. I could probably play a competent Charlie who gets shit done, but yeah, I'm curious to see. I'm excited to play Charlie one day. I'm gonna play that Survivor Seeker one I built for the Many Faces of Charlie Kane thing from a few months back. But I want to play that Charlie. But yeah, I'm curious. But I do think that I'm going to be a bad Charlie player. I just feel it in my gut. Daisy Walker. Hey, yeah, look at that. All right. A+ for me and Travis in 2022 and 2021. And Bryn brought her from a C in 2021 to an A in 2022. Group rating in 2022 was an A. She continues to get better, and she's going to continue to get better. A lot of people put Daisy Walker as an S tier, specifically noting the one combo that she can do with the stones, the archaic glyphs, or the guiding stones, whatever it is. And I think that's totally fair. And I'm not, like, for me, once again, my tier list is not compared to, like, what the peak of the character is, apart from things like Amanda, because she utterly, once again, I think she lives in, like, S+ tier. But just, like, generally, like, once again, what it is. Like, but I could see her also going up to S tier. She's a good investigator. She's very good. Like, I can see it, like, definitely the people who say S tier. I agree completely. She's not there for me yet there, but, like, maybe she will be, because she just continues to get better and better. I wish her stat line was Mandy's stat line, and I do feel like you do feel the difference between them, like, which sounds like it wouldn't be the case, because the difference between 2 and 3 doesn't seem like a thing, but it actually kind of is. Yeah. But Daisy's a great investigator, and Bryn now is out of the C tier for Daisy. Daniela Reyes. I gave her A+ in 2022 and A+ in 2021. Travis went up to an A+, and Bryn went up to an A. So we see, like, a growth in ratings here. One thing I have noticed, at least with these first few of them, is that I have stayed pretty consistent with this kind of stuff, which is good. I think Daniela is very strong. I thought, and I said this last year, and I thought I was kind of like taking crazy pills, but I think she's a better fighter than Mark Harrigan. I think I said that in 2021, and I'm pretty sure I reiterated in 2022, because I have played both Mark and Daniela, and I find Daniela to be a much more competent fighter, which is kind of crazy to see. But I just think her ability is better. Card draw is now very easy to find in this game, Mark's ability for card draw is less good than it was when he was released. Mark is still an A+ investigator as we get there. But I do think that Daniela is a very good, competent fighter. Her stat line is absurd. Absolutely nutty. Yeah, so that's why she's still thinking A+ for me. I think, like, realistically, unless you're a fighter that kind of breaks what your class is supposed to do, cough, cough, Tony Morgan, you're going to always kind of live in the A+ tier, just by the very nature that fighting is less good than getting clues, and the broken things you can do with fighting are not nearly as comparable to the broken things you can do while getting clues, because fighting is not really on the same tempo that clue getting can bring. Fighting is like a cost you need to play to not die, and clue getting is a cost you need to pay to win the game. Bryn also went up to an A, which I think is fair, and A+ from Travis. I mean, I think A is also a fine rating, if how you view Daniela, but I think she's personally, for me, an A+, and I'll stand by that. Darrell Simmons, Asa. So, yeah, I don't think Darrell Simmons is an S-tier investigator. I think that he is an A+ investigator. He might one day go up to an S-tier investigator, but I do actually think, while his ability is, like, very strong, it basically just means that you have to kind of spend stuff. You have to basically use your ability to pass tests if you're not, like... I mean, yeah, you can do the scavenging stuff and build for it, but, like, that's a lot of pieces to, like, basically just, like, make up for the fact that you're, apart from your book and your foot, your stats kind of suck, right? Like... So, and I think that's what separates him from the S tier for me personally, is that the 5 book is really good. His deck building is really good. He's a very strong investigator. Bryn S tier is fair, I think, as well, right? But I do think that he is a great investigator. A+ is very solid. I'm kind of curious to see how it changes once we get a whole year with him. Because I do think he's very powerful, and I think he has the potential to be S tier. There's, like, a lot of boxes that he can check for that, and I'm curious to see how that may or may not change going into 2024. Oh my god. So yeah, this one I'm kind of curious to see. These are kind of like preliminary ones. It's like more like kind of we're looking at this mostly as like the legacy ratings, and because he's a new investigator, we don't have the legacy ratings to go off of. Dexter Drake. This one's pretty simple. This one stayed relatively similar. A's on my end. A+ on Bryn's end, and Travis brought Dexter from an A+ to an A, which I obviously agree with because I was A's, but I also understand that Bryn plays Dexter very well. Bryn plays Dexter very well. And so, like, Bryn is, like, a tier above us when it comes to playing Dexter. Group rating A, I think, is also fair. Dexter's a fun investigator, but I just wish when I see Bryn, like, doing all these magic stuff, that I think I'm just jealous. I'm jealous that I can't do it, you know? I just all my Dexters have been disappointing to me, and I want to fix that. I mean, the only Dexter that I actually did great with was the Cyclopean Hammer. Bryn's not afraid to dump his assets. I agree. Like, Bryn builds his assets to, like, Bryn also is, let's be real. Bryn also, like, is okay with taking an action to play an asset. For me, I look at that and I'm like, evil, bad, right? So it comes from, like, literally a playstyle thing, because I'm not an asset-based investigator, and Bryn loves playing assets. Like, if Bryn could just have unlimited money and play, like, 3 assets for his actions every turn, he probably would. Yeah. Diana Stanley. All right, so here's my growth. My growth from B to A. Look at that. Everyone on the internet yelled at me and bullied me and said, you, Diana, boo, you said boo to Diana, well, boo to you. And honestly, I think I think still the people who are saying that she's, like, S tier are also huffing major copium. Because, like, she's kind of just, like, she's good. She's a good investigator. Like, I think she's an A tier. Travis gives her an A+ tier. Bryn's in the A tier for Diana, group rating A+. That obviously was not me influencing that. But after playing Diana with a big deck in with a high experience deck through Dark Matter and actually like playing her correctly as I discovered through advice from the people who were boo-ernsing me and also booing me, that I was playing her wrong the first time I played her with Gloria. But I mean, I think that she's still just like, when people are saying like you can loop the level 5 deny existences with her Twilight Blade, and I'm like, yeah, but like my survivor brain mindset for that is, but how bad are you playing that you need to do that, right? Like, why do you need 4 copies of Deny Existence 4? If it's to just like say no to every Mythos card, then why are you like, what are you doing? Right? But it also could be a playstyle thing. But I mean, like, this is like kind of I'm also like not really scared of the Mythos deck in this game anymore, except if I'm playing Black Star's Rise. Excuse me, that scenario. But I do respect the power that Diana Stanley brings, and obviously Travis and Brendan, their thoughts on Diana haven't changed, so there's not much to say there. But I do think she is a fun investigator, and when you're able to play her more optimally, unlike when I played her the first time, she is an enjoyable investigator to play. Oh, Father Mateo. Okay, so group rating B. Let's start in 2022. I gave it a B in 2021, which is honestly actually kind of shocking to me. Like, this one is kind of weird. I can't fathom giving Father Mateo a B. I dropped him down to a C in 2022, which I think is a fine rating for him. Travis gave him a C in 2021. Bryn didn't rate Father Mateo in 2021. And Bryn and Travis dropped him down to the dreaded D tier in 2022. So notably, I actually, I only gave one investigator this year a D tier. So because after playing them all, I kind of just realized that in this game, the majority, if not all, the investigators at their base level are completely playable. Like, and like, C tier is my, like, you're fine. You're gonna be able to do the game and get through the game and be able to do the game. It just might be harder for other investigators, right? Or you might need to, like, build unconventionally and kind of do the more jankier things because your stat line might not make up for it. You know, you might need more work to get things done. And I think Father Mateo is a perfect example of an investigator that needs more work to get things done. Yeah. He's just kind of like there and boring, right? Like, that's kind of the thing that kind of just like lives with it. Because his ability is good, but it also kind of sucks, right? Like, we play these characters to use their abilities multiple times in a game. And his ability is ultimately just fishing for the Elder Sign, which is not a fun playstyle because you're kind of just hoping you get there, right? And then otherwise, he doesn't really have an ability. Like, how fun is an investigator where you get to use their ability once a game, right? Right? Like, that's not fun. Because then otherwise you're just playing stat ball, and his stats aren't even really that appealing, you know? I do agree with Valentine that there's like one piece needing to crack his code, right? And I think a taboo to 0-5 Bless, the D-Scarp Excess, also does seem pretty good. Travis's big beef with Father Mateo is that he's been completely nullified by Parallel Wendy. And ultimately, I kind of agree, right? Like, if you're going to play a Blessed Investigator now, you're probably just going to want to play Parallel Wendy, because she's, like, good. Oh yeah, notably there's going to be no Parallel Investigators on this. I thought that they were just... Bryn doesn't like the Parallel Investigators, so that's kind of like where we're living. I'd have fun with them in 2 times Astronomical Atlases and 2 times Grizzly Totem. Oh yeah, and once again, like, this is like, I definitely think you can have fun with any investigator in this game. Because, yeah. Because it's just the reality. Like, once again, like, every investigator in this game is baseline good. Baseline fine, at the very least, right? Yeah. But this is interesting. They do not like Father Mateo. I also am not that hot on Father Mateo. But I do like seeing the Bs. Like, poor guy has just gone down in time. Finn Edwards. Group rating B is crazy. That's absolutely insane to me. Like, I think that might have been some Travis influence on us. I'll have to go back and, like, check it out. But I just feel like the B rating is kind of nuts. He's a great investigator. Bryn A+, Travis AA, me A to A+, which actually, if going ahead on the trends here, looking on it, my Trish actually followed the exact same thing. I think Trish and Finn are both great investigators. Yeah. He's just kind of like, his stat line is like really nice. And he keeps, I mean, like, while his deck building doesn't grow in the same way that, like, other investigators do, the amount of builds that have come out of Finn Edwards, this little guy, because of his stat line, is kind of crazy. Yeah. Like, it's kind of just like his stat line, as well as his 5 splash cards, can lead to a lot of potential things. Finn has one significant problem. I get nervous about 1 willpower, head brain. It is scary with a smaller collection. At this point now, I'll gladly take a 1 in one of my defensive stats to make my my 2 active stats even better. Just give it to me. I can also, respect that people might not be able to see the power level that we're talking about for Finn here for our personal rankings, because I totally get that, right? Like, Finn also can sometimes just kind of just be a little bit awkward. But I love Finn. I've always loved Finn, and I'm going to keep trending high on him. I love Finn. Bye. But, Finn's great. Gloria Goldberg, the writer. So she is, Bryn did a Raider in 2022. But I gave her an A in 2021. I gave her an A+ in 2021, trending up to S in 2022. Travis has been an S since 2021. Grandma kind of just invalidates the game. But she's already so high with her dedicated expansions not out yet. Yeah. That's Travis said he kind of just hopes they include her as an extra mystic, so they don't give her more juice. But I also don't want 2 more mystics added to the game because I hate the mystic class. But that's my bias. You can't listen to me for that. But it's just her ability is very good. It's a very good ability. It does get worse with more players. Like, we'll respect that for a second, because you kind of have to do more work to look at 4 cards. But in 2 players, like, you get Alyssa Graham out and you're probably going to win, right? Yeah. It's kind of nuts. Grandma is a very nice investigator. Oddly enough, though, it's kind of weird. Like, when we look at Marie Lambeau, we're going to be coming up to soon. Her stat line feels worse than Grandma's for some reason, even though they're kind of like very similar. But I think that's just because, like, Grandma, she plays Alyssa Graham, so she's just a 5/5, right? So she's able to get clues with her brain or her book with very little work, because you're looking at playing Alyssa Graham anyway. Harvey Walters, this guy's improved quite a bit. B in 2020, A's across the board in 2021. Travis and I gave him an A+ in 2022. Harvey is a good investigator, right? His ability to just draw more cards makes him very consistent. He's also got the new card from Scarlet Keys where you can place a clue down on your location to heal 3 damage. Basically says, hey, Harvey, why don't you not care about your weakness even more, right? I am curious about, like, the trending up for me and Travis, Like, the A+, I'm curious, like, because I agree with it. Like, he is good. 5 book is really nice. 4 brain is really good. Yeah, he was released 2020, I think. But yeah, he's just scaling up. I don't think, like, I could see him dropping back down to A tier for us when we get to look at him again at the end of the year. But Harvey's obviously just kind of like, he's a guy and he's doing his job, right? Trending up though. Jacqueline Fine. There's some variety here, which is kind of nice. So A+ group rating. Bryn gave her a B in 2021 and 2022. I am double S. Travis went from S in 2021 to an A+ in 2022. Which is interesting to see. I mean, I still think that if you have a Jacqueline on your team, you're probably going to win the game. Right? Because how often do you... Like, her ability is basically like Wendy Adams' ability, right? It is. It is. Just you're only going to do it twice a turn, right? And it's a good ability. And I think it's just a very strong ability. Anything that kind of, in my mind, invalidates the game without needing to spend a resource, like, for example, Jacqueline Fine's ability or Gloria Goldberg, and is more likely to make you win, the investigator is very good, right? I do think that I could respect her dropping down to an A+, right? Like Travis is there. Maybe Travis is like, maybe I'll trend there next year, right? But like, Mystics keep getting good spells. They keep getting good things. The Uncage the Soul 3 is a very powerful, dare I say, almost too powerful ability. And just her 5 brain and also like not awful stat line otherwise. Yeah, Jacqueline Fine I think is a very good investigator. Bryn gave her B's. Love to see it. You love to see it. You know? She can do fun things with a living ink with the symbol adding charges to it. That is a good point. Seems like it'd be pretty good with her, huh? That does seem kind of cool. And the thing about her ability too is that she also can just like, you know, still play like Read the Signs and Spectral Razor to great success because she probably has a Holy Rosary out and is attacking at 8 or investigating at 9. Jacqueline's good. Good investigator. Very boring in her deck building though. Oh no, we're in the dregs. We're in the dregs. This is a not the color you want to see on your investigator thing. Jenny has never like blown me away. I've never seen a Jenny that I'm like has super impressed me. Jenny, even like the decks where like Jenny has done things, it's kind of just like, yeah, you're Jenny. It's cool. You're like, it's fun that it's like, it's cool and it's functional and it's like great, but it's still just kind of like, you have to do a lot of work to do what another investigator could do with less pieces required. But I'm consistent with C's from 2020 to 2022. Bryn, recently joined the CDC. Which is, you know, went from D to C. And then Travis went from C to D. Travis was not hot on Jenny Barnes anymore in 2022. I think that this is kind of just... I think this is fair. Jenny is... 3s across the board also does not help. Like, you can do things with big money, but I'd argue that other investigators do things with big money even better. Right? Right? But yeah. Jenny is Jenny, and we gotta love her for it. Speaking of loving someone for it, my friend had a Jenny deck that did less than nothing in a scenario, but because she did nothing and someone had to kill her sacrificial beast. That's actually really funny. I'm still huffing the hopium for Jim Culver. He didn't get a D for me. He was not my only investigator to get a D in 2022. And I think it's just because he has a stat line that can like make stuff work. You just have to work really hard for it. And to me, that's like he could be a D. I don't fault Bryn and Travis for giving Jim Culver a D, right? I'll never fault them for that. But I'll hold on to that little piece of hope that Jim Culver is okay. I mean, really, actually, in all fairness, a D rating is kind of just an okay rating. A C is fine. B is good. A is very good. A+ is great. S is fantastic, right? Jim. D is bad. Yeah, that's what you say, Travis, but this is my own grading that I'm looking at, right? I'm not talking to you, Travis. You don't get to talk in this video. I'm ignoring you from here on out. Not true, actually, at all, but like with my own personal rating, like even like, because my only person who made it to D tier this year was Skids O'Toole. And Skids is playable, but I think you have to work very hard for him. D tier character only run when? Probably won't do that for a very long time. It's insane the amount of stuff they release for him and he still sucks. Yeah, that's the Jim problem, ain't it? That's the Jim problem. All right, we're on to Joe Diamond, who Travis gave C's to in 2022 and 2021. Bryn went up to a B, and I've been in B's the whole time. He got some support in Edge of the Earth, but he still is kind of just a little bit fiddly. He's a great flex, though, you know? Michael Lita, bring him to A. I could see it. I don't personally see it, because, like, he can still just kind of just crumple to a paper bag, right? Do you have the circle undone? Because that'll tell you if you own him or not. But, like, I love Joe. Joe is one of my favorite investigators. I love playing the hell out of Joe, but there are a lot more times than I can remember struggling with Joe than, like, killing with Joe. So that's kind of like where he's a B. But I could see him living at an A. You know? Yeah. He's a cool investigator, though. Love it. Not much. Bryn's hotter on Joe this year. Travis still in the C tier. Kymani. BCC. Once again, this is kind of just like the theorizing for our thoughts on Kymani. I think Kymani... I don't have much experience with Kymani. I have played one scenario with them. I've seen Bryn play Kymani a few times in the Scarlet Keys blind run we did. And Kymani kind of crashed and burned there. But Bryn theorized that Kymani crashed and burned more to the deck decisions rather than Kymani themselves. And I think Kymani has a lot of tools that can make the decks really fun. And that's funny because their splash is tools. And like I can see like the draw that Kymani could have, right? But for me, the draw is, it seems like a lot of work to just do something that can like be done more efficiently, if that makes sense, right? But I'm having fun in the one game I play with them, and I'm very excited to play more with that deck, because I do think that deck is going to be very, very fun. So, curious to see how Kymani grows over time. I do believe that for people who have hope, Travis will never like Kymani, because, once again, I said this in a video that's coming out, that Kymani is the roguiest rogues that ever rogued. And I think that is the truth. Leo Anderson. This one's pretty fun. It kind of looks like a tree, doesn't it? It kind of looks like a tree. B's for me. B's for Travis. C in 2022. C for Bryn in 2021. And 2022 for B for Leo. This one's kind of funny for me. Because I think I've actually had a lot of fun and success with Leo. And I feel like I've always been able to impact the game with Leo. So I'm trying to think of like why I give this guy a B. Because I do think that reasonably, I mean, like if there were B pluses in this, I think Leo could earn a B plus. But because we don't have B pluses, I think he has to live in like B, but I think like, once again, I've never had a bad time, right? I've never had a bad time. I could see Leo going up to A for me because once again, like I think just in the moment I look at Leo and I just see this boring old white dude that doesn't really interest me whenever I have to grade him, you know? So maybe like it's just like a bias thing that I need to get past, because all the Leos I've seen or played with, apart from the one where Bryn absolutely bombed in our it's been a good time. Yeah, and his stat line's great. Like, he basically has a Finn stat line. That's what I said at Finn, right? Give me a 1 in my defensive stats and a good numbers in my offensive stats. It's good. It's a good... You know what? I can see this guy going up. I can see him going up. I think he could be an A in 2023. Really, like, right now, my gut says to put him in A. But once again, like an A- B+ zone. But we don't really do that. So maybe I just round down because once again, you know, boring old white dude. Lily Chen. This one's kind of fun. Bryn, no rating. In 2021, A+ in 2022. And Travis and I, we did the old swaparoo. I went from B to A+, and Travis went from A+ to B. Which is kind of interesting. It's kind of interesting to see that we like literally just kind of like swapped it up. Yeah, I like Lily. I think Lily's really powerful and very fun. I think she got a noted improvement in Scarlet Keys because she can now run a level 0 weapon that's not knife. Albeit, I still think knife in a level 0 Lily deck is not a bad inclusion. However, I do think that Runic Axe is very good for her level 0 decks now. And she has a lot of cool things. And she's also just like, she is so fun to use butterfly swords with. I played with Super Fang. We did 4 episodes in Dream Eaters. And Super Fang brought the Bob deck that played with Joey the Rat. And I played the Lily Butterfly swords deck, and it was kind of crazy the damage output that was able to bring for it. But I can also understand, like, because once again, I was there at B tier for Lily Chen. Travis being at B tier for Lily Chen in 2022. I think she is a little bit kind of like, as Travis said when we were talking about her recently. The book discipline doesn't interest him at all, and it's kind of just there, right? Because also her stats aren't like great for it. I mean, the drawing card option is certainly nice, but it's not really like kind of interesting, you know. But yeah, no, I think I like the A+. I like the B because I was there once before. Curious to see how this might change as well, because she is still relatively new in the grand scheme of things, right? I need to play her again, sans the OP hammer. Yeah, that's also a fair point. Lola Hayes. She did it! She did it, Lola. She got her first C grade. She's out of the D tier for at least one of us. D's all across the board, except for me in 2022, where I gave her a C tier rating. Yeah. This is obviously with the taboo list in mind, because without the taboo list, literally nothing has changed. So you kind of need the taboo list, right? It's the fact that you can, like, you don't get bombed suddenly out of your deck, right? It's the weakness. Yeah, it's the weakness that can get improved. That makes it so that you don't have to discard everything. You don't just have to lose everything. And I think that, sure, I change the class, but it's an action in addition. You still get your 1 lightning bolt a turn, right? You still get your 1 lightning bolt. You can you can change your action twice if need be. Yeah, so you get 1 lightning bolt and then any number of action changes as well, as I believe it's any number of action changes. So it's that. And then also the weakness, which is huge. I still don't think she's like, I think she kind of lives in like the Jenny Barnes tier now, where, surprise, surprise, 3s across the board, but what you also get is a lot of work to do cool things. And to me, that like is like what the C tier is all about, right? You have to do a bunch of work, and you get to do cool stuff with that. And that's fun, and it's good that investigators like this exist. But I'm just happy that Lola, for once, from one of us, stepped out of the D tier. I will say I'm actually quite impressed with the Lola deck that we're playing in the All 3 run on Patreon. That deck is actually like, when we were playing Eleanor Harper, once again, you're still just kind of like, just doing what a Seeker does, but badly. But, it's still like, it was like a C tier deck where I was like, oh, Lola's doing something. Because like, once again, it's just kind of like, you're doing what the classes do, but just worse. And that's just the reality of the situation. Luke Robinson. Great investigator. I think, so for 2021, let's start. A plus is in 2022. Bryn's was A plus the whole way. Travis is S tier the whole way. I was A in 2021. And then in 2022, I went to A plus. And I think the main reason for that is that I actually played Luke, right? Like, my Luke rating was based on very limited information. And, well, after playing Luke twice since the 2021 rating, I was like, okay, yeah, Luke's great. Luke's a great investigator. And once again, like, especially in 2021, I was doing a lot of stat-based as my first focus as my rating. And, like, you have to work for Luke's stats, but now, after playing him and seeing the card pool grow and stuff like seeing actually, like, the stirring up trouble come into action, turning the stats to not really mattering, so to speak, makes it even easier to get there. Mandy Thompson, S's across the board. You also don't need the stats. Oh, that's what I'm like. That's what I'm saying. Because, like, at this point now, you don't need it. And I think, like, when 2021, I was much more stat focused when I came to my ratings, but now it's like the gameplay stuff for it. It's all that stuff that comes with it that improved my thought process on Luke Robinson quite a bit. Mandy Thompson, S's across the board. I was actually pretty close to giving her an A plus when I was doing my tier list. But then I just thought about it. And, like, searching through your deck for cards is something that people want to do. And just, like, basically you play a copy of a card and you essentially get 2 copies of it is a very powerful ability, right? Even without Mr. Rook, I think that Mandy Thompson is a very strong investigator. Because her ability doesn't need much. Like, you do it a few times, and you're going to get a lot of advantage right there. And then also, yeah, like what Discard Pack is saying, this is something I believe too. Playing her with 50 cards and impressed by having 3 of her signature, yeah. And then also, like, when you want to do it with Mandy, just, like, play the asset that Travis hates. Guided by the Unseen? Yeah. It's, like... It's very good. There's also a card Travis said just recently that'd be very good in Mandy that just came out. Friends in Low Places. Another great card for Mandy. Because that searches, right? Wow. Yeah. Because, like, it's like one of those things that they have to be very... Like, looking at this again, right? It doesn't search, it looks. Oh, okay, it looks. See, and that's actually what I was about to say. That the designer... a character's strong when the designers have to change the wording. going and, like, basically they have to stop saying search on the majority of their cards because it's too strong for Mandy. Right? Like, we kind of just see them being like, oh shit, she was stronger than we anticipated. So now we need to stop. We need to stop. Maybe she's better at higher player counts, and 2 players switch with an action still doesn't feel great when it takes 1/6 of the round, so it feels more like an A+ to me. I think that's a fair thought process for Mandy. That I do think that she can it goes down in value in 2-player, but I mean, like, I think in 2-player you kind of just change the focus of your searching, right? You don't really focus on the idea of doing it every turn, but you look at taking like high value plays in your search, right? So like your practice makes perfect becomes even more powerful. Like you do the practice stuff there. You grab like the No Stone Unturned to grab 2 cards. You play Eureka because it's just a card that is going to allow you to grab 2 cards. You get the upgraded Old Book of Lore because it allows you to also play things, right? Like I think that you kind of have to like change what Mandy's doing in 2-player. However, what it means is that still each one of these cards that you're playing because they're good become double plays when you play them, which is what makes Mandy really powerful. Yeah. Marie Lambeau, otherwise known as the card is our new Diana Stanley. I think Marie's ability is very good. I think Marie is brought down by her card pool. I think it's kind of ridiculous that she cannot play the upgraded versions of the new toys that came out in the Scarlet Keys. I honestly can't believe that happened. Like, isn't that kind of just wild? Like, isn't that just kind of nuts? Like, doesn't that just seem like really weird? But yeah, so looking at this group rating C, I gave her a B in 2021 and 2022. Like, I think she's good. I think she's a good investigator. Her ability is very powerful. In 2 players, especially, her ability can be very noticeably good. In solo as well. In 3 players, I think her ability gets less good, right? And then and then in 4 players, I think it kind of just doesn't do anything. But the C tier for Bryn, C for Travis in 2021, and Travis dropped down to a D tier in 2022. So she's sitting down there with Jim Culver. Power Word in her is insane. I can see that. I can definitely see that. I don't like Power Word though. I think the card just bores me. It's not a me card, so I don't like, I'm probably only gonna play Power Word because I have to for 2023, and then I'm probably like never gonna play it again. But yeah, I think I'm curious. Normally we say with Marie, like, when she gets more Doom support, she might get better. And like maybe she did, and we just need to play her a few times to try her out. But I think at the same time, other investigators probably have benefited more from the Doom support than Marie Lambeau has. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's kind of like where it is, right? She has because she has like the Finn deck building, but she has an awkward stat line compared to Finn's very versatile stat line, right? Yeah, I could see playing like with El Rubash, trying that with Marie, give that a shot, but then you need to buy a charisma. You need to buy a charisma. Yeah, man, like Baron Samdi's just ruining stuff, Baron Samdi is just ruining things. Yeah. Marie's tough. She's in a tough place. Baron's a dork. Amen. All right. Group rating S for Mark Harrigan in 2022. Bryn's S all the way. Travis S in 2021 to A+ in 2022. This makes sense. Travis, I remember him saying that card draw is easier to find in the Arkham in 2022 and 2023, and I agree. I was A+ on him for 2021 and 2022, mostly just because, like, once again, when you look at these investigators, what a fighter can do, I think that still Mark Harrigan, while super efficient and very powerful, is still ultimately just kind of fine. Like, he's fair, right? Like, it's not like the things you can do with Amanda Sharp, right? It's more so that, like, you're kind of just, like, efficient at your job, but you're not broken at your job. And unless you're able to do your job hyper efficiently, like a certain bounty hunter, it makes it so that he kind of is still just kind of like A+ tier. There's a lot of cool things you can do with Mark. Mark's a great investigator. He's very versatile. His deck building allows him to continue to get new cards. Someone in chat, D Scarpack, saying, kick the Hornet's Nest for a clue now. Certainly cool. It gives you something then to do on your downturn. You're like, I haven't stabbed anybody. Why don't I get a clue, stab somebody, then draw 2 cards with glory, right? There's a lot of cool stuff you can do now with things, and his deck building is going to continue to improve Mark Harrigan, but his ability is certainly less, while still good, less good than it was when he was just released and in the years after. But yeah, he has a good ass in 2021 and a good assa in 2022. All right. Oh my God. Minh Thi Phan, otherwise known as the one that everyone yells at Justin for, because Justin is weird and he gives Minh Thi Phan a B. Group rating A's. Bryn went from an A+ to an A. Travis has been A's for the whole time, and I have been B's the whole time. I think Min's good. I think she's a good investigator. You like Min just a bit? She's good. B's my good. Splash Survivor is a B for Justin. Yeah, it's just your face. Yeah, I love Min, but she's kind of just like, you have to work a bit harder than similar people. You know? Like, it's just like that. She's like, she just requires a bit more work than other Seekers, and her ability, while good, doesn't actually help you. Like, it's good, like, but it doesn't pick up the game's focus. It just makes you do better getting your skills, right? She has a difficulty 0 access. She does, yes. That is true. But I still think that Min is just kind of just, like, fine, you know? Very mythos. Yes, but, like, everyone's saying these things. You're 100% right. But all of this stuff requires you to have other cards to do these things, where these other investigators can just, like, you know, like, make it work without doing that much more, right? Like, Min's always like, oh, you need these skills, you need these cards. But, like, once again, like, when I look at all these investigators, I look at, like, how they are able to do their job, right? And the work that requires that job. And I think that Min requires a bit more work. She's like Leo with this, if we look at it. She just requires a bit more work to get to the level that other investigators can get better of, and she can't really take advantage of things that other investigators can, you know? I think she's good. B rating is not a bad rating on my scale. I think people just kind of see a B and they think that means she's bad, you know? She's basically a 5.53 stat line as long as you have skill to commit. Yeah, that's true. That is true. But, like, she still struggles. Like, she still struggles more. Like, I know more times that I've played Daisy, and I've played Min, and I've played, like, I have had more success with Ursula than Min. I've had more problems with Min than Ursula. It's I know people think I'm crazy, but obviously I feel this because it's consistent, right? Like, that's the thing. If it was like I went from a B to an A, like, yeah, I could see it. Right? But people were telling me last year, play Scavenging Min. Your thoughts are going to change. And it didn't. Like, I still think she's good, but I don't think she's, like, a great investigator. I think she's good. I love playing Min, right? Just build better Min decks. Travis, I've built every fucking Min deck you can play. I've built them all. I've played them all. Min's good. She's a good investigator, but I don't think she's great. And I stand by it. 100% I stand by it. Her value add comes mainly from her sport rows. I agree. Like, you don't need to convince me that Min's fun. I love Min. I play Min all the time, but I don't think she's great. I think she's good. And I'll stand by that because it's obviously consistent. She is the front runner of, you know what Min's the best at? She's the best at being like, oh shit, I need you to give me a foot icon because we're in a problem, because we can't solve the problem because our tempo's so bad. That's what Min is the best at. Like, I'm not, like, I don't want to point fingers at a certain Min and Mark Harrigan team, but that was not a good time. You know? There's also the Scavenging Necronomicon Min that we all choose to ignore. Yeah, but once again, I don't look at these as, like, the best decks that can exist for these. Well, we kind of punted that. That is true. We did kind of punt that. Ice Pick 3 Scavenging Min is downright filthy. I played it. It's good. It's good, yes. But, like, I think even in that, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. You know? Please post your deck when you make it. I promise you, Travis's deck is going to look exactly like my Min decks. I promise you. I have played every Min deck. I don't know why. I don't know why everyone looks at this as like, oh yeah, Justin, you're wrong. You have only played 2 Min decks. I have played probably 8 fucking Min decks, and they've all been different. And she's always been fine. That's Min. She's good. Let's go next. Monterey Jack. Travis in 2021. B. C in 22. Travis does not like Monterey Jack. I think that's... and a big reason why Travis talks about that is that the... Travis hates having to move. He feels like compelled that he has to move, which, like, sucks. And I think that's fair. I think that's entirely fair, right? Bryn gave him A's. I give him an A+ to an A, which I think is totally fair. He's really awkward. His level 0 deck kind of sucks, and he doesn't get the ability to take the level 0 secret cards that are, like, the best things. Now, I can already feel someone saying, but Justin, how the fuck can you give Monterey Jack an A and Min a B? And that's because I've only played Monterey Jack twice. And both times, I was very much able to just, like, move around and do my whole thing. And, like, basically once I got, like, a book boost, it wasn't a problem. And then just, like, the passive economy. The big hand Monterey Jack deck we played was really fun. But realistically, I can see Monterey Jack dropping down to a B over time. Just because, like, you have to do a lot of work to get things going. And I'm curious to try him some more. But I do think that Travis is trending to the closest to what... to where Monterey Jack is probably going to live, right? That's just the reality of the situation, that he's going to probably trend closer to a B tier once the dust kind of settles. I could definitely see that being true, because he's already dropping down for me, and I think he's going to further drop down, because, like, while his ability is good, you do have to go out of your way for it and kind of just break what you're doing. And, like, yeah, there's a lot of cool things you can do with Jack, but it's a lot of work to just basically get clues. Yeah. Nathaniel Cho. Group rating A in 2022. A pluses in 2021. 2022 A+. B from Bryn in 2022. And Travis gave an A. Honestly, I think Bryn and Travis. I think Travis comes from some of this rating might come from the fact that there's only, like, one Nathaniel Cho deck, which is really boring to, like, you only can do one thing with him, but he's really good. Dude's really good. Like, he fights like no other. His, like, top end damage output in the one deck you have to play with him is very nice. He is very dependent on getting his, very dependent on getting his boxing gloves. And it's kind of just dependent on, like, I mean, yeah, but, like, he's just so boring. He's just so boring, isn't he? Like, in, like, deck building. But when you play it, he's really fun. And, like, it's very fun to, like, you know, play a card and, like, kill 2 4-health enemies in 2 actions. Like, that feels very cool. But, like, it's still just kind of boring, you know? Like, just like that there's not much more you can do with him. I would love for him to get, like, some more support maybe a different form of weapon, but like at the same time, you kind of like, I don't know. His ability needs the boxing gloves. He's kind of just like in a box, right? And that box isn't really fun. And while the box is powerful, it's kind of just like, it sucks. So like this is like an A+ with an asterisk where it's just like, it sucks, you know? Oh no! I got the wrong color on Travis's A+ there. Norman Withers. Group rating C in 2022. Notably, this was before his actual stuff came out. And he had an enemy for a weakness. His stat line is great. 2021, A+, A+, and then in 2022, A+ from me, D from Bryn, which I'll get to. And then we got an A+ from Travis, which is a D color, but don't mind that. Don't adjust your monitors. That is an A+. Yeah, and this the D is from the events only. No, Bryn has seen him when Travis was looping the deductions. Which is really cool. A really strong deck. And Norman's great. Norman's a very strong investigator. I think that, like, with some more skills, he will become, like, when he gets more things that he can loop with his book and Astronomical Atlas and shit like that, he's going to move to the S tier potentially. What's keeping him from the S tier right now, for me personally, is that he, a lot of things that people talk about him, like his looping deductions, right? Excuse me. Like, looping deductions is a lot of work to be Rex Murphy. Right? Like, that's the big thing that everyone always is like with, like, the Norman Withers stuff. I can see, like, I'm curious to see what can come up with, like, the Ghastly Possession and looping stuff like that. But overall, Norman Withers is a fun, fantastic investigator, and I'm excited to see more stuff for his card pool. I hate his weakness in terms of the stupid. Here, let me ask, Jack, because like when it's on top of your deck, has there been an actual official ruling that other people can't do it for you, or is it one of the things where it's like some people read that you can, some people read that you can't? Because, like, it's like as if it's in your hand. Because I just hate the ambiguity of it. You know, I wish it was just... I wish that this game... I wish that it wasn't like that. You know, I hate the ambiguity that it provides. You know? Though I can think I can see where the confusion comes from. So Harbinger made for the intention of allowing the investigator to spend 2 actions. That's the answer? So it's actually, there's an actual official answer now. If it's in your threat area, thank God. Thank God. Let's go. They did it. An actual sensical, proper ruling, and something that I was shouting from the beginning. I was like, of course you're going to be able to do it. And everyone was like, no, you can't. And I'm like, of course you're able to. Look at the design. Look at what the designers are trying to say. But still, the designers should just have had it made sense from the beginning. Is there an official ruling on the ectoplasmic horror or whatever it is from Scarlet Keys yet? Or is that still up in the air? Not yet? Incredible. All right, let's go to Patrice Hathaway. This one is the reverse tree. You remember the tree that was Leo Anderson? This one's the reverse for it. This one's pretty consistent. I got B's in 2022, 2021, 2020, also a B. Travis, also B's. Bryn, C's. I think this is totally fair. I think this is totally fair, and yeah, I played her recently, a patron whose name it's like Bolash, I think is how I pronounce it. I could be absolutely wrong, and if I'm butchering that, my apologies. But they built a deck for me to play Patrice with in the Return to Edge of the Earth, and she's very fun. But I do think she still requires a lot of work. Luckily, though, her work does come a bit easier than other people who require similar amounts of work. And she is able to bring a lot to the game. but she can also still stumble, which is kind of like where the B rating lives in there for me. Yeah. Otherwise, this one, there's not too much to say, I think. It's pretty consistent across the board. Preston Fairmont, otherwise known as the man who just keeps getting better. We have group rating 2020, C. Bryn is a C in 2021. I'm a B. Travis is an A. And then Bryn and I are A's in 2022, and Travis is an A+. Preston is just going to keep getting better. Travis was a believer from a very early on about Preston's strength, and you can definitely see that is happening here as Bryn and I are catching up to that while Travis keeps going higher, and I can definitely see it going up higher for me as well. I love Preston. He's one of my favorite investigators to play now. He is a great time, and I liked him even when I played him in the event-only challenge. He is a great investigator, and he's going to continue to just get better as rogues get more cards. I do wish that he wasn't the red-green 5-2 investigator, just because he's so unconventional, right? Like, he can do things, but not in the traditional way you expect an investigator to. And I wish these kind of like, dare I say, gimmick investigators, I say that quotes with love, like Patrice is a gimmick investigator, weren't the ones who took the 5-2 pools, because a conventional investigator is able to explore those in a way that is like, conventional, right? Yeah. So just how it is. Rex Murphy. Still good. I don't want to be mean. When I'm going to say this. It's going to sound very mean, okay? If someone tells me they don't think Rex is an S-tier investigator, I honestly think less of them and their ability to play this game. Like, that, I know that sounds mean, but it is just the truth. It's just, I can't stop my feelings from being there for that one. His ability is just tempo, right? His ability is what people strive to do, right? It's just, what Pegs is saying. Rex has, in brackets, turns in scenario amount of deductions. That's nuts, As good as he is, he's even better in the Scarlet Keys. I can believe that. And you already, Rex is he's just very good. He's very good. Yeah. It's just one of those things that, like, the tempo he brings to the game is very good, right? And, like, the game's a tempo game, right? And what other investigators do to get their tempo, Rex is getting an additional tempo on top of that, right? So, like, while people can get an extra clue, Rex can do the same thing and get another clue on top of that clue. Yeah. All right, Rita Young, the athlete. Look at Rita go! Look at her go! Wow, that's the biggest improvement. That's a big improvement. What a meteoric rise. Group rating D in 2020. I gave her a D in 2021. Bryn and Travis C's in 2021. Up to B's in 2022. Up to an A for me in 2022. She is a fantastic fighter. She's not great. She still has her problems that keep her out of like the A+ tier for me. But I do think that Rita is very good, very fun to play. Dirty fighting is incredible in her. Give her the upgraded baseball bat or the upgraded fire extinguisher. Give her the upgraded Derringer. You're off to the races. You're going to kill things, and you're going to make it look fucking easy. She has the trick building for her deck building. So it's going to allow you to do more powerful things. And as like the card pool grows, most recently notable Dirty Fighting, but also Breaking and Entering 2, which is a very good card in Rita Young. Yeah. Give her the track shoes. Give her Pete Sylvester. She has 7 foot. She gets to do breaking and entering at 9. Then you get to, like, evade the enemy. Attack the enemy with your baseball bat from your dirty fighting. My God, she is good. She is actually good. It's a lot of work to get there. But at the baseline, I'm going to just say it. With my D rating earlier, I was also not respecting of what she can just bring to the table on her own. So say you're in that situation where you don't find a weapon. And some people, like even Mark Harrigan, can struggle with this. This happened in the one that Travis and I biffed. When your fighting plan, due to the way the mulligan happened, is that you have to, like, fight with a guard dog. That sucks, right? But with Rita, in comparison to what she can do, and what I did not respect earlier, is that you can evade something, deal it a damage, start putting some damage on it, and then set up if you do draw an enemy too quickly. However, her weakness still really sucks. But I think, you know what, this is one that I will say I was wrong about. Admittedly, she does get more cards in her card pool. I do think in 2020, she was weaker than she is now. I think that's just a reality. But I think now at this point, her card pool is at a point where Rita is a very competent and very good fighter. Roland Banks. We got B in 2022. B's for me across the board. C's across the board for Travis. And an A in 2021 for Bryn. Down to a C in 2022. Yeah, Roland Banks is... I do think, this is something I've said in previous videos, I do think the game would probably be better if more investigators were like Roland Banks. If every investigator had like a Roland Banks-like stat line, I think that we would see a flatter curve, right? Like 3-3-4-2, where you have to work for all your stat lines. I think the game would be a lot different, admittedly, but at this point now, a lot of the design kind of has to, even though they'll say it doesn't, it kind of has to live around 5 book investigators, right? Or 4 book investigators at least, right? Like the game is built around 5, basically, is the number now, right? Because even when you're a 5 book investigator, you're looking to get your book to 6 in order to beat the shrouds without having to put more resources into it. That's the line that's going to win you the game, and that's the line that the designers have to design for, right? However, if everyone was like Roland Banks, the number could be lower, and there could be kind of more scrappier style to play. Because I think Roland Banks has a very fun, scrappy style of playing. I think we're going to see a very similar thing with Shrouds going into the future to counteract the tested 0 survivor stuff. If I can definitely see that being a trend that we're going to see going into the future. Just to, like, the Shroud average, like say the Shroud average right now is like 2.5. I can see it going to like 2.8, 2.9. I can see it like going up for that exact reason, that as the card pool gets stronger, the design is going to have to get, the scenario design is going to have to get tougher too. And I think Roland is good, but he's Roland. You know, he lives in a world where he's living in a game where at this point now the stats outscale him, and he has to work harder to get things done. You know, and that's I think that's the thing. That's the thing. Safina Rousseau, group rating A+ in 2022. I gave her B's. Travis went from an A to a B, and Bryn went from an S to an A. So while I have stayed the same, we can generally see that Safina's power level seems to be trending down. She did get a powerful new... spell in the... whatever that string of curses with double. It does seem particularly juicy. She's a cool investigator. She's really cool. Her gameplay is very fun, and I think that she has the potential to be very powerful. But I think that she does kind of have to work for it in ways that other investigators don't, which is why they're there. But you can see kind of in the trends that She is going down right now for Bryn and Travis's ratings, which is curious to see. And Bryn actually dropped like 2 levels. Bryn went from an S to an A. We do know that Bryn's ratings are a bit more volatile. Travis's and mine's can kind of follow for the most part, especially trending down, kind of fit like that. So I'm curious to see how this goes and how we look at her next year. I'm down on her because I like drawing cards and her weakness can wreck your plans. She sells from the difficulty tree the same way Roland does. I can agree with that. But also, yeah, I do like that. I didn't even choose it on purpose, but when Bryn and I played the griefing April Fools, and I brought the Harvey Walters and he brought Safina, and my griefing plan was to just make my opponent draw a lot of cards. And he did not like that. Safina can take a cheaper Chuck now? Yeah, that's very true, actually. I forgot about cheaper Chuck. He's kind of just hiding there in the expansion for me. Who's next? Silas Marsh. A+, group rating, A+, 2021, A+ for me in 2022. Bryn and Travis trending down in 2022. I think that's fair. I think Silas is still very strong. This also comes from my own ability to play Silas. I think that I can play Silas quite well. I think that I'm a good Silas player. So, like, reasonably, yeah, like, I could definitely respect an A grade, because he is trending down for both Bryn and Travis. So there is something there, right? I do also agree with what Travis said in a video that's going to be coming out next week, that I wish that Silas's ability just did not work on any effects on skills. It would bring his power level down, but it would just make it, like, easier to comprehend. Because the unrelenting loop, while powerful, is kind of poopy. It's kind of poopy, you know? It kind of is just like a bad gameplay loop. It's kind of just sucks. And it feels like a mistake. It kind of feels like it shouldn't be there, right? You know? However, even if you take that out from Silas, if you just play him, he's a very competent fighter. The ability to reverse a skill card is like a Wendy Adams ability, right? Like, Wendy Adams' ability is a second chance. And, like, you have to commit a skill card, but you might not need to use that skill card. And that's a very powerful effect that you can just bring it back, right? And I love Silas. I think he's still A+. I still think he's a very good fighter. He's a very good stat line for a survivor. The defensive stats, while scary, the 5 horror is scary. You don't need much to counteract it. Like, you can do like Madame LeBlanche or a teddy bear and you're like going to be fine. But I will say that the A+ might be coming from my Silas bias, because I have found nothing but success for Silas, but not enough to give him an S tier. And his Elder Sign is the best in the game. It's so fucking good. It's so good. Anytime you get a Elder Sign with Silas, oh boy! But yeah, I can respect the A. I'll even respect that he might even still be too high for me. Like, generally, this might be like my bias showing through. But I do think that it is, I think he's still very good. I think so. Sister Mary. Oh, I wish I gave it a B in 2021. That would be a cool shape. Anyways, B in 2022 for group rating. 2021, I gave it a C. Bryn and Travis a B. Bryn gave it a B in 2022. So Bryn's been consistent at B for Sister Mary. I was once again a C in 2022, and Sister Mary trended down to its C for Travis in 2022. B for Blessed. Amen. I don't think we need to say much more. Sister Mary is fun. She's good. But she just, I think, like... she deserves another try. I think I played her... No, I played her with Runic Axe. I played her with Runic Axe, and my thought was I wish she was someone else. Yeah, like she's good. Like she's good, but I think that she still kind of like needs a lot of work. She could reasonably be like a C+. What does she do better than anyone else? Put a bless token in the bag at the end of the turn. I think she is the best at that. But yeah, no, I like Sister Mary. I've seen Sister Mary. Sister Mary has always been kind of like a fun investigator, but I do think that she is, I think a C, I'm pretty happy. I mean, obviously I'm happy with a C. I've gave it to her twice, right? That's what you can kind of tell. Like at this point now, if an investigator didn't get new cards to support it, and in theory, if my rating has stayed the same, odds are I'm happy with that rating. And that's why I like looking back at this to see where things might have done. Like with Rita, where I can admit fully that I was wrong. But with Sister Mary, I'm pretty confident in my personal ranking of her. And once again, this is all personal rankings. So the people who are writing mean comments to me about Minh in the comments, I'm happy that you like Minh. Why can't you be happy that I think Minh is good but not great? Why can't you be happy with that? Why do you have to convince me I'm wrong when I think you're wrong? Just let me live my life. Speaking of living their life, here's Skids O'Toole. Group rating C down to D's across the board. My only D ranked investigator was Skids O'Toole. Alright, so you know what I was talking about? Roland Banks and a stat line that's kind of been outscaled. Skids was kind of like already outscaled in the beginning of the game. Kind of, but not really. Skids was in a very awkward spot when he just came out, right? Like, you know, Parallel Skids was fun, yeah. He has some space in evade plus fight with 25 auto and dirty fighting. I agree with that, and actually, in all fairness, with my rankings, Skids reasonably should be a C tier investigator, but I gave him a D because he is the investigator that I have the worst memories in playing. The biggest problem with Skids, though, is that his ability is kind of just completely outclassed, right? The events and assets that you can play now give you more power than one action for 2 money. A 2-cost event is probably going to do more for you than an extra action. And these ratings do not include the parallel ones. No, this is just normal Skids. Or actually, I'm not talking about the parallel ones here. He's part of the gang with Jim and Mateo that have useless abilities. I do agree with that. I do agree. And I think that's like, stat line aside, because stat lines, you can make most stat lines work in this game. You just have to work harder for some. But a low stat line, if they don't have an ability that matches or that can like make up for it, like for example, I think Sister Mary's lower stat line is balanced by an ability that allows you to do something that is fun for that investigator. Skids O'Toole's low stat line doesn't really do much for you, which sucks. At this point now in the game, I think it's just kind of outclassed. But I don't know. I don't think you can make it better. Like I think if it was 1 cost, it would be too good. I think it's just now for the economy of the game, it's bad. I want to play a Butterfly Sword Skid deck, though. My damn throat. Stella Clark. S, he just needs to be 1-3-4-4, yeah. Alright, Stella Clark, A+ in 2022, S is across the board. Me, 2022, S, Bryn, 2022, S, Travis, A+. I think that this is fair. I think an A+, well, I still think Stella is an S. Stella, to me, lives on an S because this goes back to what I said for Kelvin. She is a very, very, very good user of the new Test at Zero archetype. So, like, while I can totally understand the A+ rating on Travis's scaling down from an S in 2021, the A+ mostly came from how I decided to find my S tier this year. That's great. That is good. That is a good perspective to add. That is total. That makes sense. If how your S tier definition has changed, because I'm kind of like the idea of the freaking quick Quick Learner at the Test by Zero. Oh my god. Even just Quick Learner and the fucking new old keyring. I think the Test by Zero is just... It's a little bit much. But yeah, Stella is still obviously very good. Neither rain nor snows if you're looping them. It is a lot of work, but I think that like the whole thing is that what Travis always says, that recursion is just too strong in Survivor. And Resourceful's got to go. I hate to say it, but I think Resourceful has got to go. It's gotta, right? Even though it's like the identity of the class, it's gotta like exile. It's gotta remove itself from the game, right? It's gotta. I wouldn't even... you know what? I'm okay with Resourceful getting freaking forbidden. I'm okay with that. I think it needs to happen. I think Recursion is getting a bit much. It's gotta say at least level 0. That would be another one that's fine too. But even then, I think Shedalites are still... I think Shedalites, it's a very strong thing. You know, I'm not... Yeah. It's a strong card. Resourceful's spooky. But we can go back, and just so ever we can go back and we can look at the tapes back in like when Resourceful first came out and we started talking about it more. Travis was like, I don't trust this cards. Scavenging also has got to go. Or at least like, I think Scavenging should have uses. Scavenging should have uses on it. Spooky. Tommy Muldoon. This is a fun looking one here. A in 2022, B for me in 2021 and 2022. A for Bryn in 2021, B in 2022, and then A's for Travis in 2021, 2022. I think that, yeah, I think honestly, Tommy is like a B, like going back to Min, not to bring her again. Like Min lives like that B plus A minus territory for me. I just round down. Tommy lives in a very similar space. I think Tommy is very fun to play. I think Tommy is really good at getting shit done. Tommy has a great stat line. But he's just like, he lives in that weird kind of like middle of the road space for me where like he requires a bit of stuff to get going. But there's a lot of things you can do with Tommy, which is really cool. Travis has the, we built that deck he shared with me for, I did a deck building of the Tommy's Clue Emporium. I honestly like that deck comes to me in my dreams. It like just in the middle of the night, I'm like, you know, I'm just like open a door to a shop and it's just Tommy being like, welcome to my Clue Emporium. And I think that's like really cool. But yeah, I think it's kind of like Tommy, I can definitely see scaling up. He does a lot of good. He does a lot of good as well. It's scales well with XP. That's exactly what I was saying, Metroid Man. He does very good as he gets more better cards. And I think Scarlet Keys actually has a lot of really good stuff for him. I think he's less efficient at fighting, mostly just because of his 4 and his fist. But he's a good investigator. And I can see myself, like I'm already feeling it, like he could potentially be up this next turn. At the end of the year. Tony Morgan. Group rating of B in 2020. S's all around. So I've been alluding to Tony for a while. And his S tier. And the reason why I was talking about fighters and how most of the time a fighter for me is probably going to cap out at the A+ tier. Because fighting is generally fair. 2020 Travis was an idiot. You know, but 2020 Travis was just shooting shots with confidence as Travis always does. That's the thing. Even when you're like, we look back at 2020 and Travis says B for Tony, I'm like, Travis, you're 100% right in that moment. I'm like, you've convinced me. However, once we see him in action and how he basically can just nullify the downside on rogue weapons, because surprise, most rogue weapons are designed with a downside, right? Like that's the thing. Their weapons are good, they're cheap, but there's a downside to them. When one of the investigators can nullify that downside while also taking an extra action, while also using that action to do what he wants to do while also getting a resource back after killing that enemy. That's a lot of alsos. That's like a lot of stuff, right? He's a phenomenal user of the majority of the rogue weapons, right? His stat line is insane. And while you have to work to keep him alive a bit more, you don't have to work that hard. He's a great investigator. Too good. Too good. Yeah, it's kind of a shame. I will say, though, that I would love to see... This is... We're just, like, beating the horse at this point, but... like, the 25 automatic is such nice weapon design because Tony can't use it, right? And I would love... Because rogue weapons are so cool. They're firearms. That I love that they can continue to explore weird spaces, and I have faith that they're going to be able to find more weapons that Tony's not going to be able to take advantage of in the way that he can already with the rogue weapons. Trish Scarborough. Group rating 2020 A+. Bryn and Travis A+. Travis continues to A+ in 2022. I was an A in 2021, and actually just looking at it, I'm pretty sure this was just due once again. If you look at my ratings for, this was like a stat rating. Stats were much more important to me in 2021 than they were in 2022, because both Finn was also down here. But Finn and Trish both bumped up to A+, which I totally still support. I think they're both great. And Bryn is an S tier for 2022, which is good. Yeah, I mean, Trish is obviously a very good investigator. I have tons of fun with Trish. You can sometimes feel things. You can sometimes feel like her edges that make her like a little bit less powerful, right? Like that keeps her out of your personal S tier perchance. But I do think that she is very good. And she does have a great card pool. Best card pool in the game? I mean, probably, right? Probably. Because like she gets the good yellow cards and then the good green cards. That's why I think like the people who are talking about like the 05, 02 Seeker Rogue, I think Trish is scarier. Because I think overall there's good cards in the upgraded Seeker pool, but I think there's better cards in the upgraded Rogue pool. The Rogue Intellect feels very noticeable for some reason. Sorry, you mean the 4 book. I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, I do agree with that. It does feel noticeable, but as soon as she gets the piece that makes it less noticeable, she's off to the races. Yeah. Like, I think she has the tools to make it less noticeable, right? But Ancestral Knowledge, though? Is that the one that gives you the skills? You get, like, 5 skills added? I mean, certainly a good card, but I don't think it's, like, that impressive. It's a good card. I like it. But I don't think it does anything that's, like... I mean, like, compared to, like, some of the upgraded rogue cards are kind of nuts. And I mean, I think it's no surprise that like the upgraded, if we look at the Edge of the Earth, the Rogue Seeker upgraded cards were the best ones. I think that's no surprise, right? She got so many cards in the Scarlet Keys. Fuck yeah, she did. Can we talk about Kicking the Hornet's Nest? Which actually is less good than I thought it was. It's still great. Like, it's still fantastic in her. But I thought it was going to be busted. But I think overall it's like great. But you're still just like, oh, but now then there's an enemy here. And I still only get 1 clue. Yeah, I get the money, but I still only get 1 clue, you know? Yeah. Most of the Rogue, Seeker, Edge of the Earth cards were tabooed. Yeah, Rogue and Seeker are very scary classes. Yeah. Ursula Downs. B group rating in 2022. 2021, and I gave it an A. Bryn gave it an A. Travis in 2021 gave it a D. Travis also gave her a D in 2022. I gave her an A in 2022. She stayed the same for me, and Bryn gave her a C. I agree with a lot of this. I think that in like 3-player, her value goes way down, but in 2-player, she's fucking great. Like in 2-player, she is very good. Her compression is very nice. You bring a Janae Beauregard along, Oh my god. But yeah, this also does go along with the Travis hitting movement, definitely. Her deck building sucks a lot, though. Like, her deck building's not great. But in, like, 3 or 4 player, yeah, I think she's way down. Yeah. No, Travis is just playing the long game. And then in 2023, he's going to give her an S tier. Wouldn't that be funny? It's not going to happen. She's going to get a D tier again. Don't want to get anyone hopes up. It's going to be a D tier again. 100%. There's no way. There's no way. There's no way it's changing. Like, she would need to get, like, a relic that's not yellow, that is, like, a practice makes perfect relic, and then maybe Ursula will go up to a C tier. That would be, like, the only way. Vincent Lee. Once again, this is kind of like a preliminary thoughts on this. We have ACA, which I'm kind of a little bit confused about, because, I mean, like, I think it's interesting. It's interesting. I do think that Vincent Lee, like, if we look at what Carolyn and Vincent bring to each other, right? Like, they're very similar. I think Vincent's On the Mend is stronger than Carolyn's Resource. I think On the Mend is a very good card. If the people you are playing with, like, immediately play it. If you get a fucking Jessica hideout with Vincent Lee, you're off to the races. And, like, you're not gonna stop. If you don't, it's pretty awkward, as we will see in a video coming out on the channel this next week. So Vincent Lee sits in a weird spot, but I think he's very comparable to Carolyn, and I think in theory they should scale similarly. But I do think that, oddly enough, there is more stress. I mean, actually, this is not at all odd at all. There is more stress on Vincent to perform, because Vincent will be played as a fighter a lot, right? And I think that is a little bit, like, there's more pressure required to be a fighter, because when you get clues, as long as you, like, are matching the tempo or beating the tempo the majority of the time, you're okay. If an enemy shows up and you're the fighter, you're like, I guess I'm going to just have to, like, fight my way through this. And because he has a 3, I still agree, I still stand by that I would have loved him to be a 3-3-4-1. I think that would have been really fun. But I think, like, the idea is the 3 fist is to kind of make you want to use your On the Mends, in theory. But yeah, I think Vincent's good, obviously, but I'm curious to see how he changes. We're almost done. We are done. We can't be done. Where's you know, I gotta pause this. Where's the other guys? The W's. I know what happened. I'll fix this. All right, we're back. Wendy Adams. We have group rating 2020 S. Justin, I gave it an A+. Bryn and Travis gave it an S, and then we're all A pluses going down here. I do think that Wendy is, I mean, I think she's great. I think she's also a very good user at the Tested Zero archetype, both for evasion, both for, like, she can play the exploit weakness card really well as well. And the obviously the clue getting stuff. The clue getting stuff's the easy thing here, right? But she's great. She's always been very good, and it looks like she's just kind of, like, trending down. I'm not too sure why, right? But I think it's mostly just because, once again, the definition for S tier has probably changed for, like, as Travis said earlier, for Stella. I imagine it's kind of a similar thing here. The tier, like, the S tier has changed. And Bryn also played her recently, so that's probably what it comes to. It's just that, like, her ability is obviously very strong and it's going to win you the game, but it still costs things to get it done, and you're going to have to put resources into it. She has a fantastic stat line, though. Can we talk about that? Her stat line's incredible. Holy cow. As a survivor, my God, that's an amazing stat line. I always forget how good her stat line is. Her stat line is just incredible. It's very powerful. All right. Will Yorick. This one also is once again kind of just boring and stays pretty consistent. A+ is group rating. A+ is for Bryn and I in both 2021 and 2022. A's for Travis in 2021, 2022. And I think this is totally fair as well. It kind of fits into like how Travis even talks about like the Survivor stuff. It's not really that interesting even as a fighter. Like, I think, like, to me, what makes Will York so good is that, like, in addition to his fighting, he just, like, never runs out of juice. And you also don't need to work too hard. You get, like, just a good weapon and you're going to get things done. And then you're never going to run out of things. So, like, the A totally makes sense to me as well. Might even make it to S tier for you. Yeah, I mean, I think that's also fair. He's a great investigator. He's very powerful. And he very rarely, if ever, falters. And if he does falter, it's only because Bryn and I are doing an asset-only run. And even then, he doesn't actually falter when he falters. It's really weird. It's complicated. You'll see it one day on the channel, I promise. But yeah, Will York is kind of just staying the same. No opinions are changing on this guy. It's nice to get some nice, simple ones. Winifred Habbamock. Group rating A+ 2020. I did not give her a rating in 2021. Bryn and Travis both B's. Travis hit a B into 2022, and then me and Bryn each gave it an A. I like Winifred a lot. I think she's very powerful. If you just play her as she's meant to be played. Winifred cannot be played like... If you play her like a traditional rogue, you're going to have a not great time. If you play the Winifred game, it's going to be a good time. Like, the Winifred game requires you to basically what Travis was doing in the Edge of the Earth run, which is, like, if you're not triggering the ability pretty much, like, twice a turn if you can, because I'm pretty sure you can do it twice a turn unless I'm just making shit up, that's really good. That's really good, right? Like, it just gives you so much, once per test. Yes, you can do it twice, like, you can even do it 3 times a turn if you have the juice. And basically, it's just like get it going, right? And then she can take advantage of the tools really well. She's going to be a great user of the Thieves tools that came out in Scarlet Keys. I think I like Winifred, but I also totally get the B rating. I'm curious if this was, like, before we saw the Deep into the Edge of the Earth rerun, but I don't think it was. I think this actually was, like, Winifred did a lot in that one. So this probably includes the most recent run that Travis did of Winifred. Not sure on that, though. All right, last one here. We got Zoe Samaras. A+ 2020. BAA. AAB. Travis and I, we did another swap-a-roo. I'm trending up. Travis is trending down. And honestly, this could also be, like, Zoe lives in that, once again, that, like, B+ A- level for me. And I think that it's kind of just like I rounded up for her because generally I found Zoe to be competent, but she could be a B for me. She could live back down there again now that I, like, think about it a bit further. Like, I'm not feeling too confident on that A. She is good. There's a lot you can do with Zoe. But I do think that maybe she's closer to a B than an A for me now. Thinking on a bit more a few months after Christmas. Yeah. But Bryn obviously is still just trending the same for that one. I like seeing the switches, though. She is a great investigator for new players. My favorite thing that Zoe does is she teaches people not to be afraid of enemies engaging you, right? Zoe's ability tells the player, hey, you want to get engaged by enemies. That's what you're looking to do. Don't be afraid of it. Do it. Kill the enemies. Keep going. That's it. That was fun. That was fun. That's like, that was cool. That was cool to see how things changed and how our opinions may or may not have changed, how things trend. It is nice to have, like, now, 2 years. I want to see some trend line charts. You know, I could maybe do that. When we get more data points? Yeah. Let's do that. I mean, I also want to get, like, I want to do some stuff with the patrons and get there. Hey, if you want to join our Patreon, if you want to support the channel, you can do it multiple ways. Liking the video, commenting on the video. Unless the comment was to yell at me about Minh. Please don't. You can subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. You can also join our Patreon. which is lowest tier, starts at $3 a month to get access to all our Patreon posts, some deck lists and stuff like that. You also can join further if you want and get access to more stuff. But the best way you can support is just by watching the video and, enjoying the video. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one. Maybe we'll see you in 2023 for the next one of this. Have a good one. And as always, GG's.